what I would consider a draw too much sketch lesson, but it really is more of a critique. I've been teaching some classes to some folks who follow me on Patreon. We've been doing live classes where you come and take part of the class live, I can answer your questions, and we have a good time. And oftentimes these classes go from, here's what I was intending to teach, to, wow, we're not even close to being on that topic, but everyone's learning so well. And we have 2 students during the class right now, and would love it if you'd consider joining. And I think it will really open your eyes, because literally I've taken these 2 very, very good artists, and we've helped them find likeness and essence within 2 sessions, which has been really impressive. And now it's just a matter of getting the chance to work with them and showing them how they can improve their line work, their quality of art, and just build them up. And I think it's an awesome thing. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and do a critique of one of my students right here on my YouTube channel. The person I'm going to be critiquing is a wonderful artist named Jordan. She's very excited to be in the world of caricature. She wants to take this professionally within a year, which I think is a very good plan of action that she can do. I do think that if you have your heart set on it and you put your mind to it, you could learn to become a professional artist within a year and sell caricatures. I think it's completely possible, and she has given herself the opportunity to fail, and I think that's a wonderful thing. So let's go ahead and hop into our screen here and take a look at some of the artwork that she's been drawing and compare it to the images that I think she used to do that. And let me give you a little bit of a critique of what I would suggest might need to be tweaked. Alright, so welcome to in our software here. We're drawing in Clip Studio Paint Pro. It's my favorite software to draw in. Drawing on a Cintiq 21UX. For those of you who are curious about this screen, this is a very old screen. You can get much nicer ones for probably around the same price as I got this one for, and I got this one on eBay a while back. So, as you can see, the first person that we're taking a look at, one of her drawings that she did, is Angelina Jolie. Now, she's going through the Resolution 2020 contest, which is actually a list of celebrities that you need to draw, and I think it's excellent that she's taken this and is running with it. This is not something I suggested my students to do, so I'm really excited to see her really drive in this. And the one thing that I was really pressuring my artists to try and do is try to use pen pressure. And I can see that from the drawings that she had shown me before to the drawings that's here in front of me, that she has definitely attempted to use line pressure. And I think that's a wonderful thing. Instant likeness. I think this is great. I think there's an instant likeness of Angelina Jolie here. I think that's obvious, and that's a wonderful thing. She got the lips right. She got the nose pretty well. A couple tweaks I'd make there. Definitely the eyes. She got the bone structure of the face pretty well. Got that cheekbone that's so well known for Angelina Jolie. I think that's wonderful. When it comes down to it, you look at that and you can see likeness. Excellent. Let's take a look at another one of her images here that she sent. Here's another one. I think it's pretty obvious who this guy is pretty quickly. And I think I may have found the original image. Not sure. Jeff Bridges. Excellent likeness. Once again, as you can see, things don't have to be exactly in place to get the likeness absolutely perfect. I think that she did great. Now, there's some things I would tweak here, and there are some things I would do on his face here just to make it look a little bit more like him. And something else that I commented on is some of her shading technique. I'd like to show you guys how you can improve some of your shading technique in a very quick little format here. A little cheat that I use on all of my artwork all the time. And if you like it, hey, good. And by the way, if you like it, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and consider joining our class. And then finally, one more here. Let's see if it's on this side or the other side. Yeah, here it is right here. Once again, I think it's a pretty obvious caricature. And not only that, she's gone the extra mile by doing a whole body. I think it's pretty clear to tell who this is, but we can also pull up an image that comes close to the face that she has here, Kim Kardashian. I think she did a great job of this drawing. I think there's a few things to kind of dress it up and make it look a little better, but you can tell she's used some line pressures and things like that, and I think there's some things that we can do to help you out. So now this is going to be a longer video, guys, just so you know. I want to make sure I'm very detailed as best as I can to critique how I would in doing some of these drawings. So expect this to be a longer video. If you get bored of it, go ahead and exit out. But if you're inspired by this, keep watching, and I hope it helps you out. I'm not going to comment too much on the likeness because, like I said, likeness is pretty much on par. That's Angelina. That's the thing. So likeness is great. Essence looks pretty good. I think she got a little bit of Angie's expression in there. I mean, that's going to be a key thing as well, as you want to make sure you get that expression, that feeling of that person. If the person seems excitable, draw them excitable. If the person seems quiet, draw them quiet. If the person seems regal, kind of like Angelina does sometimes, depending on what movie you see her in, then draw her regal. You know, whatever the case is, try to get that likeness. So let's talk a little bit just about one or two little things that I would fix in the caricature, whether it be getting the likeness locked on a little better or just some technical stuff. And I also want to talk about the line quality here and about how we can improve the line quality, okay? Now, this is not how I draw. What I'm going to be tracing over here is her drawing, and I'm going to be trying to work with her art to push her art and her style as best I can. The way I would draw Angelina Jolie and the way my students would draw her would be probably completely different, because we have some incredibly gifted students who have their own style, and we want to help build up their own style. We got a guy on here right now named Santiago. This guy draws in a Disney style and is fantastic at it. And if he could take it and run it to caricature, Disney would hire this guy maybe, and maybe have him create caricature. I mean, seriously, there's some good stuff that these guys are creating because they've created their own style. So I want to help them put flavor into their own style, all right? All right, so let's go ahead and start first off with Angelina Jolie's nose. So you can see I got zoomed in really closely here on Angelina's face on the caricature. First thing I want to look at is the nose. The first thing I'm seeing here when I look at the caricature is the nose, and I want to look at the point of the nose, which way the direction of the nose is going. One really great way to get likeness is to look at the nostrils, the tip of the nose, and the bridge of the nose. Now, for the most part, the bridge of the nose in the caricature is pretty decent. I think I would probably curl it out just a little bit more like that. I feel like that curvature from her to there is more like that, just a bit. Now, the tip of her nose is actually pretty round, just a little bit, a bit of a triangular round here. So what I would do in this case, to kind of keep with the artwork that is already in front of me here, is I would follow that through kind of like this, and then I would pay attention to that nostril. We can see a nostril here. Okay, so I would absolutely draw on a nostril there, and then the bottom of the nostril would come around here, a little bit more like that. So showing that nostril is going to be a key thing. Now, if you want to go my route in how I draw a little bit more, then I would also make sure to focus on some shading here underneath this region here, as well as the shadow underneath here. And this is where I talk with my students a lot about hard shadow. Right now, if you look at my face, there are some very obvious areas of hard shadow. I mean, look at this highlight hitting here. There's some very, like here on the neck, there's some very hard shadows here. You can't be afraid of hard shadows. They are a very key thing in getting a good likeness, just as much as coloring and just as much as drawing the proper likenesses. So focusing in on those details is going to be really, really key. So don't be afraid to do some hard shadows. I'm going to drop the opacity down of this just a little bit more. Now, to exaggerate is not just to blow up or to shrink down. It's to look at things in conjunction with each other. So when I look at her nose and I see it's fairly round and a good normal size. It's not a small nose, it's not a big nose, it's kind of medium. And then I look at her eyes, and her eyes are huge and expressive. I'd focus more on the eyes, and then I would shrink down the nose to express the eyes more, maybe a little bit. Depends on the situation. So, and it's not really going to come down to the exact shaping of the nose, because you can get away with a caricature with not an exact shape. But making sure that the key features are enhanced, that's going to be the area where you're going to find the most success. So, wondering why my brush is misbehaving? I'm on the wrong layer. So, I would try my best to try and show that round in the nose as much as I can. Okay, and then also focus on adding a highlight and focus on just making sure that you really got that shape nailed down for that nose, okay? Now, when you have the nose drawn in, this will help you place your lips a little better. Now, here's the thing. If you draw a line directly down from the bottom of the nose where it connects to the face, not the tip of the nose, but underneath the nose down here where it connects to the face, and you were to draw a line down from there, that is where the lips would need to start. Now, you can still exaggerate the heck out of the lips, but you need to show what you're doing. Let's see, does Angelina have one? She does, but she doesn't. Okay, let's zoom in here a little bit to Angelina. And she doesn't quite have it, but right here, usually, on most people, you'll see a form kind of like this. I'd show you mine, but mine's hidden underneath a nice big fat mustache. But that sort of idea there, that you might have it on yourself, or it might not be as expressive, but you need to be keeping in mind that shape there, okay? That shape is going to play a major role for the lips. So as we come back over here to the caricature, we got to think about what that shape is going to be doing. If you're going to choose to push the lips out and make them out, then that is going to be affected. So if we're trying to make that look like that's the situation, then you're going to take that shape and you're going to bend it and stretch it way out there to build up the lips the way that you want to build them, okay? So let's say that she was really wanting to take it out that far. You got to show on the face that you're really going through all that effort. Okay, so let's go ahead and do exactly what she did here. Angelina's lips also have a lot of... There's not a perfect peak there on the lips, so you might want to figure out how to exaggerate that maybe, because she has kind of a bit more like that. She has great looking lips, but at the same time, maybe not as good as you may have seen on other celebrities. Okay, and then the bottom lip, she did a great job. She put a lot of focus on that bottom lip. I think that's great. So you can do all of this to the face, but remember, if you're going to pull things forward, you have to show it moving forward. So in the same way here, the whole lip face has basically been grabbed and moved up. So that means you got stretched skin. So maybe you got to show that skin stretching out to meet it from out here. Maybe you got to show some kind of stretched skin moving in that direction, in whatever case, to kind of make those lips look like they're moving outward, okay? Now that you've done that, now you need to keep in mind all the little features around it. So you have to keep in mind this shape and form. Now if you're trying to get that outer lip here, we have an obvious outer lip area there, which I put in here. Then you need to show the side of the cheek. Now the cheek obviously comes out pretty far, and I would take it out just a bit further because we're not trying to create any extra peak form there. But you got to remember, if you're going to pull stuff out, you got to pull stuff out with it to make it look fairly even. So you can pull this cheek down like this, and then take it to the chin, and do that same exaggeration on the chin, okay? So we can still keep all this same form that she's created here, but we got to make sure that everything goes with it. If you're going to pull something, if I grab my ear and I pull, I'm pulling skin, I'm pulling cartilage, I'm pulling everything with it. Not just the tip of the ear, I'm pulling all the skin. You can see that even the lobe moves, even the inside of the ear moves. Everything moves with it. If I take my nose and I twist it, I'm not just taking the tip of the nose and I'm not moving it over. I'm taking the whole nose and I'm shifting it, you know? And that's how that's going to work. If you grab your cheek and you pull it, you're pulling your lips, you're pulling everything with it. So you need to make sure that that is shown in that expression. Now, one other thing that Angelina has here, let me go ahead and see if I can zoom out on the photo of Angie. She's got some really great cheekbones, but she also has some pretty deep laugh lines, lots of shadow area. If I smile with the way I have my lights right here, there's a deep shadow right here. Once again, hard shadow is a very key thing. So don't be afraid to do that. Now, you might want to show that in some other ways, because, I mean, right here we've already created an exaggerated stretch, so that might affect how you show that exaggeration of that lip coming out here like that too. That might affect that, so keep that in mind as you're pulling that out there. It might come more from behind the nose as it comes around, okay? Make sure that you kind of try your best to follow the shape of what you see in her picture, okay? And then same thing with the other side, okay? So you're choosing to pull it out. Make sure that you double check your work on all of this stuff, all right? If you're going to draw the line that brings it down and connects it up there, then you want to do that there. You can kind of see that line right here on hers. Okay, she also has on the side over here, she's got this major area here. What's that called? A dimple. So you want to make sure that you show that dimple area. Now, you don't have to show the dimple by drawing the cheekbone, but maybe just doing some proper shading there to give that a little effect. Now, me drawing it in sure doesn't help it look quite right, but maybe doing some extra shading in your original work to help push that. It's going to be a key thing. Okay, so I think we've really covered a lot of great stuff here. Let's go ahead and move over here to the eyes now. The eyes are going to be a really key thing. She did a great job on the eyes, but there's a couple little changes I would make. And we haven't talked about pen pressure yet, which is also going to be a key part of the eyes. But let's just go ahead and talk about the structure of the eyes, what she could have done to improve the structure. And if you improve the structure, it's really going to help the look of the eye. And then the line work on top of that's really going to add. Like I said, likeness, phenomenal. That's the key thing with caricature. I know Disney artists who draw at this quality and are doing amazing work, at this quality, and I think that's a key thing. If you're getting likeness, now you just got to work on your technical side of things, and technical's where I'm strong. I fight with likeness more than I fight with technical. If someone was to give me a drawing just like this and say, hey, can you make this more technically pleasing? Yes. Likeness? I work hard for likeness, where some people can rock likeness. This is great likeness. Okay, so moving on. Let's go ahead. Oh, let me quickly look at one more thing here. The bottom lip here does have a little bit of a dip here, so I would consider drawing in kind of a little bit of that dip there into that lip, just so that pops it out there a little bit more. And you can see this has kind of enhanced the likeness just a little bit of the caricature in comparison to Angie. She's gotten everything in the right position. She's worked things out really nice and tightly. She made the chin sharp, even though it's a little bit more square, but that's okay. Angie's chin, it does have a sharp point, so it's worth making it sharp. And if you want to skinny it up to give her a more feminine look, totally okay. It still looks like her. Great job. Okay, so let's move on. Let's go ahead now and start working on these eyes here. Let me get this out of my light, because I have a light right behind my head here that is absolutely blinding me when I'm looking at my screen here. Let's see. Not so lucky here. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the left eye for starters. By the way, great job noticing this mark on her face. Don't be afraid to put in the moles and the things like that. Those are beauty marks. Put them in. 100%. Alright, so let's see how we can fix this eye. It looks like she very, very quickly drew this in with the pen. And that's fine, but here's the thing. If you're going to quickly draw with a plan. Where's the pen pressure going to be? Why are you using it here? Don't throw it around willy-nilly. You need to be really focusing on getting this line pressure used in the right place. Alright, so here's the thing that I would do, okay? So you can definitely keep your eye the same way. The structuring is okay. Alright, but here's the thing. As we get over to here, I told you guys last week a little bit about drawing eyes and things like that, and about what the proper technique is for drawing eyes. So you can draw in the eye, and you can get in that first form. Next thing you need to pay attention to is the eyelid above. Where does the eyelid connect? Okay, there is a point on Angie's eye that connects that isn't on yours. Okay, so right here is a connecting point. So we can stretch it out here and pull it down a bit more like that. You can kind of see that a little bit more in that sense. All right, now here's the thing. It goes back, and it goes and it connects to the area, and actually it travels all the way to the back of the eye. You might not notice because it's hiding behind a bunch of makeup. Right here, they got that cat's eye kind of thing going on. So if you're going to choose to use pen pressure, this is the place to use it. Not at the front of the eye, where I saw in the original drawing. If I put away my art, you can see that the color, the area is all the way here at the front, where she started pressing with the pen really hard. No, you need to build more structure. You need to build more form. So let's go ahead and come back here and think about where we use that pen pressure now. All right? Pen pressure is going to be great right here. Build up that pen pressure right here now. It's great to be able to do that in one stroke. If you can't do that in one stroke, then don't worry. Do it in a couple passes. But get this right here and build this area up. Okay? This is where you want to get that pen pressure. And then as you come towards the front of the eye, get it nice and thin and tight. Okay, that's going to make it look a lot better. Alright, and then, once you have that high, thin, and tight, if you need to cut it down a little bit, grab your eraser, shrink it down as small as you can, and then erase the excess of what you didn't need. Okay? That is a great way to quickly clean things up. And back in the old days, when we didn't have pen pressure, this is what we would do to create pen pressure. We would fake it by using a normal brush that didn't have any shape dynamic, and then we would erase away what we needed to create that form. Don't mind me if I rotate my canvas. That really helps me kind of lock things in. Now, if I was to just turn off this layer here and show you what I have, that really does look like her eye. Okay, now we haven't even talked about eyelashes and things like that yet, but that looks heavily like her eye, and that's pretty cool. Alright, now, here's the thing. I do see that there is eyeshadow or eyeliner going all the way, most of the way, to the front of the lid here, which is great that you got that. So you can do that. You can absolutely do that. But focus more stress of black ink there. Don't focus more size there. Making this really thick right here doesn't help the artwork look better. You need to focus more black in that area there, okay? So if you're doing color, which I know you did, then you can focus a little bit more attention on getting more black there. And then the simple way to do that is simply add a tiny bit more thickness, not a bulge, because you want things to really connect and flow at the end of this, okay? All right, now, eyelashes. I talked a little bit about eyelashes in our little class, but focus your attention on thick to thins. It's going to be what they call a rat's tail. So you're going to go from a thick to a thin, thick to a thin, thick to a thin. And truth be told, eyelashes clump together. So you can take 3 eyelashes and group them together. And that's going to be another thing too. It's really going to help if you take a couple eyelashes, group them together. That's what naturally happens when women use mascara and things like that. It groups eyelashes together and makes them look thicker, including putting muck all over them to make them look thicker. So, but don't forget that the eyelashes are not only going to go off the side of the eye to the side, they're also going to come straight forward. My eyelashes right now are pointing directly at you. So don't be afraid to do that. You know, take a couple eyelashes here and slowly rotate them in the opposite direction as you pull them out there, okay? And then do some that are straight up, okay? And then maybe if you're struggling with it a little bit, then start to clump them together after the fact. Don't be afraid to do that and build that up a little bit. Now, I'm just going to leave that like that. To me, that looks a little messy. So there's a few things that I would do. I'm gonna fix this up a little bit. Sometimes the best way to do the eyelashes in caricature is to just do big, intense lines. For the kind of way that Jordan does artwork, it's around shapes more than it is around little elements. So the best thing to do in this case would probably be to expand the cat's eye out a little bit more, and then just do a couple nice, large eyelashes of exaggeration. And don't forget that eyelashes come into the eye and come back out 9 times out of 10. Those eyelashes are cutting into the eye. They're going below and coming back out. Okay, if that doesn't make much sense, it's kind of hard to explain. But the shadow that happens on eyes is because eyelashes don't just go bing and shoot straight up out of the top of the eyelid. That would look weird. They kind of rotate forward out of the eyelid and then rotate up. Okay, does that make sense? And that swoop is what goes in front of the eye, in front of the white of the eye, and then curls upward, okay? So now that you have that, let's go ahead and take a look at the other eye here. And there's going to be one area here that I think is really going to help your art improve by a lot, okay? And that's looking at the form of the face here. Now, we haven't quite gotten there yet, but when we get there in this little bit of audio, little bit of video here, I think you'll really be excited about this. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move over here to the other eye. Same idea. Nothing wrong with it. I do feel like it's a little higher, but I also feel like it's higher in the correct way. I do think if I took my eye that I just drew, I would probably raise it up just a little bit higher, just a tiny bit. And I do mean just the smallest smidge, tiny bit more. I mean, if I was to go ahead and select it here, I might move it up like that much. I mean, just a tiny bit more, you know, just enough so that it's in alignment with the other eye, and you're going to see here in a second why all this is going to click together really well. You did the right thing. You did absolutely the right thing. If you look at the curvature of the eye on the outside, I absolutely see why you drew this ball of the eye, which I know I taught you guys in a previous class, which is great. Glad you did that. It's a good thing to do. Nothing wrong with that. But you need to shape the eye around that just a little bit more. So once again, we got to think about what we're doing here. You're showing off the side of the eye. That means the eyelashes have to come out all the way down here, okay? So that means that we're looking at the side of the eye, which means that there's more happening behind the scenes, behind there. And in the same way, we have to think about what's going on with the cheek and what's the eye connecting to. I feel like the eye is kind of falling off the side of the face. So what we have to do to fix that is we have to build a form. We have to build a structure there. Why is the eye where it is? Let's build a structure. So I can go ahead and draw in the bottom of the eye. And you can do the exact same form that you already had pretty much, but you got to change it up just slightly, okay? You have to show where the bag underneath the eye is, okay? And I'm exaggerating it just a little bit, but this is why. I'm showing where the bag of the eye is, so it makes it look like the eye is still within the face and not falling off of it. If I turn off my layer here, the eye looks like it's just kind of sitting there oddly. It's not quite, it's not connecting with the cheek. It's not showing itself sitting on the face. It's like it's floating in front of the face, just kind of so like a modern art piece. And what we need to do is we need to show the cheek playing with the eye, connecting with the eye. Okay, and in the same way, we got to show the top of that as we pull it back out here and lead up to the eyebrow and lead up to the forehead. We got to show all that connected. See how if I turn off this layer now, it's going to look a little awkward here, but look at how the eye looks like it's sitting in the face now, a little better, because we've created this this weight here, okay, on the bottom of the eye. Now we got to build that up, obviously, because we don't have any makeup on her or anything like that. But once we get some makeup on her, it'll begin to make more sense. And we can exaggerate it. We can take that makeup off the side of the face, because eyelashes are off the side of the face. They're not like plastered to your skin. They go ahead of you. So we can do that if we want. So we can exaggerate that out and go ahead and force this out. Now remember, it's more of a cat's eye. So what we can do is we can take that exaggeration up a little bit more and out, and create that form of the cat's eye working its way out a bit more like that. And I think that's going to look really cool. Alright, so now if we just do a couple little eyelashes here on the top and on the bottom. That's the way I like to do eyelashes. I like to show that there is a layer of skin between your eye and the outer layer of skin. There's a thickness to your skin, and I like showing that thickness of the skin. Once you do that, and once you can show the bags under the eyes, let's go ahead and turn off the underlayer again, and I think we've created a really nice flow here. My caricature looks pretty ugly. Just saying, it looks weird. With some color, it would probably help it out a lot. But she needs some eyebrows bad. But you get what I'm saying here. It feels more connected. The face feels more structural, doesn't it? There's things connected with things. And like here on the chin, maybe it would be good to try and show the bottom lip. Since we're saying everything's coming out, we got to show that bottom lip somehow connecting with the chin. So whatever you got to do to get things interconnected to each other. Each one is going to affect the other. And the only way I can describe it is watching things like anime, One Piece, and things like that, where you got characters that their face expands and stretches and contorts and does all kinds of stuff. Each one of those causes an effect that you have to tie everything together. Alright, so we've created the eyes here now. Here's another key thing that I'm noticing about the eyes. If I turn off all my layers here and we just look at the eyes, which way is she looking? It's really hard to tell because what we have here, I'm going to make another layer here. What we have here is an eye drawn in and a pupil drawn over here, and another eye drawn here with another pupil drawn over here. It doesn't look quite right. It looks off balance. So obviously Angelina is looking at us. So what we have to do is we have to remember that when you draw, this is going to look like it has an eye on the center of her head, but when you draw an eyeball, you need to remember it's not flat, it's circular, it's round. So that means we have to create a shape and a form here, kind of like this, alright? And this shape and form, this roundedness, is going to show us exactly where we need to put the pupil, okay? So if maybe we put the pupil pointing down towards the ground, you're going to put your circle here more like an oval, and then your pupil's going to go in that, pointed down that way. And you see how directional that feels, okay? So when you're drawing the eye of someone in their head, you have to think about where that ball is sitting in the head, which is why this kind of felt a little off until we built a structure around it to house the eyeball. Basically what we're doing is we're building the building blocks, the foundation of where this ball is sitting inside the head, okay? But now that we know which way we want her to look, we simply draw which way we kind of want her to look. We draw the pupil there, or the iris and the pupil, and I always get them confused. I'm a seasoned professional caricature artist, and I get those confused. And then you know how to draw where the iris will go, okay? And you just fill that in. Same thing over here. So if we were to take that same shape, right now she looks pretty ugly. Now let's go ahead and take that eye and move it over here. Now this is a bigger eye, so we'll exaggerate that shape out just a little bit more. And we simply put it like that. We've created where our pupils are going to go, and those eyes look like they're looking right at us. But the thing is, they're pointing straight at us. There's more focus. Now, you don't have to do this. You just have to remember this, and this is going to take time for you to learn it. So let me go ahead and turn off these layers. We'll go back to our initial sketch, and let's go ahead and add in those pupils and figure that out without going through all the hullabaloo of creating those extra shapes. So what I do is I figure out where I want those eyes to be, and I'm going to say that I want them to be roughly about here, kind of where she has them. And actually, let me turn off the background layer here so I don't confuse myself. And then I got to remember that I need to make sure that the shape is following through. One is obviously bigger than the other, so you can exaggerate the eyes more or whatever the case you want to be. But now we have to place the pupils. And we have to remember pupil is always going to sit in the middle of that circle, in the middle of that iris or pupil or whatever the heck it is. So you pick your center point in there, and that's going to be where it goes. Now, there's small changes where that won't be the case, but for the most part, you can usually bet on it being there. And this character is going to look very dead until you start coloring and adding highlights in here, okay? That's going to be a major thing as well. And one thing that I think also helps in a great caricature is making sure to add shadow over top where the eyelashes are shadowing over that eye, okay? So there you go. Like I said, and let me just go ahead and chop out a piece of white here so it makes it look like there's a highlight in the eye, just to kind of give us a little bit of life back there. So there you go. You can see that we've really created a great shape and really built up the structure. Now, one thing about Angelina's face that, let's take a look at the original artwork again, is that other eye and that other lid is very expressive. Look at how low the brow sits over top the eye, creating that very deep shadow right here on her face here. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to tie that in. And by the way, look at how close that eyebrow goes right over top that eye. I mean, it's right locked in. So in the same way, we need to think about that as we come back over here. So that means that the nose itself is going to have to change a little bit. So let's go ahead and check our layers here. Just a hair. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw if I get all the right layers and things, here we go. I'm going to have to draw the eyebrow even closer, and it goes up pretty high, so I would exaggerate that form, and I would really force it up there, okay? Same with the lower one here, kind of like that, and I would really get it forced up there as high as I can. And then I would look at the lid. The lid is causing a lot of shadow, so this is a great place to use a lot of pen pressure and build up that shadow point there, okay? And dig it in there nice and deep, and then if you'll need to do a little bit of shading to kind of build that up and build that form. But now that we know that, now we can even look at the other eyebrow and see how low that comes to the eye. And it comes pretty low as well, but it's also rather pointy at the point where it takes its curve and comes down. And it's actually pretty far away from the eye. It kind of comes out a bit more like this. So exaggerate that form. Eyebrows are a great thing to exaggerate. You just got to be careful because you can take them from happy to angry very easily depending on how you do that exaggerated form. If we turn off that here again, there's some things I would adjust here. I feel like it's not connecting right. It's not feeling quite smooth. I feel like my eyebrow here isn't quite showing the structure. Everything's a little different than I would do it, so the structuring is a little unaligned, but it's close enough to get the point across here of what we're trying to teach. Alright, you know what? I think for the most part, that's really the things I really want to cover on this face. I really think that the likeness was great. I think that you did a great job. There's just a couple things to help you push those details a bit more. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything else. For right now, I'm going to leave this alone. The only thing maybe I would suggest is take a look at the forehead. The forehead doesn't span back. The forehead kind of comes forward and comes down a bit more like that. So that would be something else to keep in mind as you look at the original artwork or the original photo. But really, like I said, you can see how great the likeness was. And oh, let me cover one more thing, and that's going to be pen pressure on this, and then I'm going to wrap up here with this video. We're at 36 minutes just with Angie, so what we'll do is we'll do a couple videos talking about each one of these caricatures, and that gets me a couple videos for my channel, and at the same time helps teach a couple of the techniques that we have going on here. The best way to learn this, guys, and yes, I know it means paying money, and I know it means, you know, you guys are investing, but you are investing in yourselves, and I want you to take part in this with me, and I want to communicate with you. The best way I can teach you is to talk with you, and I am impressed with how quickly people can learn this when they have someone to talk to with knowledge to help them get them through this. Let's go ahead. There's other things to cover, but I'm not really worried about covering those things at this moment in time. Hair could use a couple suggestions and things like that. But let's go ahead and just get down to pen pressure. Pen pressure needs to be very carefully chosen. If we turn off our layers here and we bring up the original picture to full blast, there's some very oddly placed pen pressures. So it needs to be more of a choice. It needs to be more of a plan. Where are you going to put the harder shadows, and why? And remember, when I say harder shadows, that helps you decide where to put more pen pressure. Okay, and you're going to get better at this over time as you continue to practice it, but let me do this here real quick. I'm going to minimize this down again, and I'm just simply going to pull up my caricature again. I want you to pay attention to the areas that I darkened. When you see extra color, extra layering of color here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drop mine. Let me just work off of mine here, okay? So let me make another layer over top of this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw on this again with a darker color, and I'm going to go ahead and literally ink it, if you will, just for a few minutes to start picking out those same ideas. All right, first off, don't be afraid to work on a larger canvas. I'm seeing a lot of pixels at this size. I don't know what you have your canvas set at, but don't be afraid if you're using an iPad to go a little higher, maybe 2,000 pixels, 3,000 pixels. I actually draw at 5,000 pixels by 5,000 pixels, which is beyond overkill. If you consider that a 4K TV is, what, 20-something hundred by 2,000 by 3,000 or 4,000. So don't be afraid to go a little crazy. It's going to make it more fun for you to draw on a higher resolution page. But let's go ahead and quickly look at the idea here of inking. And I'm just going to ink really fast here and talk as I do. So really focusing on one thing I want to do is I want to beef up my my stabilization. I do like a lot of stabilization. And then I want to have a larger brush to ink with. All right, there we go. And you'll learn all this in time, but have a plan, and that plan in time will just be what feels natural. As you get used to this, you're going to find what feels natural in time. But take a look at where I'm doing my pen pressures. Top of the eye gets lots and lots of darkness because eyelashes really play a trick on lighting, okay? So that's always going to get a lot of pen pressure. But eyes are white. Eyes are white. So if you're going to draw the outside of the white, don't put a lot of black there, because unless you're trying to show that the eyelashes are taking that fold, eyes are white. And if the eye is touching air, then that's not something you want to put a lot of detail in. Right here, as I come down underneath the eye, it's dropping away from light. It's going down. It's pointing away from light. So I'm going to put some darkness there. Same idea here. As I come right here, I'm going to put a lot of darkness here because we have a lot of shadow coming into that point there. But as we turn the corner and come down here, I'm going to keep that lighter as it turns that corner. And then as we come down here, I'm going to really darken this up down here. Okay, but you got to make sure it's a controlled line. Don't push too intensely and screw it up. Feel it out, feel what feels natural, and build off of that. Using the mixture of larger, thinner and thicker lines is actually a really beautiful thing to do. I'm going to go ahead and calm down this line here a little bit, just a touch, and just cut it back just slightly because my eyelid is really about here. There we go. And then what I'll do is I'll come in here and erase the excess for right now and then straighten it up just a little bit. Now, I don't have all my brushes quite set the way I would usually do it, but that's okay. Alright, in things where you really want to show a lot of attention, put a lot of shadow or highlight here. But this is the top of the lip. top of the lip facing towards the light, so you're not going to put a lot of light up here. As you turn the corner and you come back in down, pointing down towards the ground, then don't be afraid to push a little harder, okay? And really, on every single stroke, make every effort that you go from a thick to a thin to a thick. You know, vice versa. Thin to thick to thin. You really want to have this really great pressure on both sides there, okay? Same with this lip. Light facing towards, but as we come down, we can go crazy and make it nice and dark on the bottom there. And then as we come back around, chill it out a little bit, just cuz. Because remember, we really like these nice little sharp points on the end. That really helps build up a lot and give it a lot of shape. But let me go ahead and make sure I get this form right here. So we're going to go ahead and go like that and like that. And try to connect as much as your lines as you can. Sometimes there's an artistic reason not to. And I do that a lot in the eyes. But try to make sure your art will look better and be easier to color if you connect as many lines as you can. Alright, and then here, maybe we just want to show a little bit of stretching in the skin. Maybe show a little bit of stretching in the chin. Now, once again, that's facing up, but this is not something I want to detail, so I'm not going to put a lot of attention on it. So I'm not going to put a lot of darkness into it, okay? Same with this area here. Doesn't need a lot of attention to it, so I'm not going to put a lot of focus on it. But the laugh lines usually build up a lot of shadow, so I can pull those out. But remember, the more attention you put in those laugh lines, the older that person's going to look, so be careful with that. Alright, here's a great place to have fun. As you come around the cheek here, push real hard as you get down here to this bottom part of the cheek and build up that tone. That's a really fun place to add that. And then let's pull this down to the chin here. And you can keep that pressure if you want, but it's really nice to be able to have that chance to mess with it and play with it, okay? So I'm going to zoom out here in a second, and I think it'll all make a little bit more sense as we keep pushing on here. Alright, so we got this great shape. First off, I think that my shape already looks a bit cleaner than the original. Once again, pulling up the original, and let's move away from this. We can see a lot of areas that need a little bit of help. Why would darkness hit the top of the lips and things like that? So, and this is not me being mean. This is me just offering my critique and trying to be helpful, because this gal has a great opportunity to take her art somewhere, because she sees likeness very easily and was very quick to take the little suggestions I made, and I watched her improve within a single class. She has every potential of doing something awesome. Now it just comes down to technique. You know, when you become a technician and you focus on getting that line quality better with a technique that you already have, you're really going to improve. All right? So once again, it's all in the little details that really use line quality properly. So let's come over here to this other eye and focus this attention out here. And the nice thing is, I just created that single shape in about 1 or 2 strokes. Technically, I could have done that in 1 stroke if I hadn't messed up here on the end. So it makes it really nice to do that because it's also quick. We're trying to quickly draw people, get them in your chair, get them out of your chair, get a caricature done, get it, you know, and you still want them to love it, but in the end, you're making a paycheck by every single caricature that you draw. So the quicker that you can get these pieces done, the more money you're going to make. So it's down to always having fun and enjoying creating what you want to create. But on the second hand, it's about making the cash that's going to pay your bills and get you enough gas money to get home at the end of the night. And that's always the case. So as you can see here, really focusing in on trying to keep those thick and thins only in key areas. But even in my smallest line work, around these simple lines here, this line has a thick point and a thin point. In every single line I'm drawing, I have a thick to thin in every single line that I'm drawing. And that's what you need to be focusing on. Every single line needs to have that feature. And it just takes time, and you have to learn how to use it and get it to work for you. But every single line is going to have that thick to thin movement. Okay? Alright, same with this one. Now, truth be told, her eyebrows are so dark, I should line them out like this and do a proper line out before I either color them in or line them with eyebrows like that. But this is going to make all the difference in your line quality, is to remember that you need to train your hand to start the line thin and push. Start the line thin and push. Okay, now I don't know if I'd go dark there because honestly that's the top of the head, so I'd probably take that lighter, but as I come around, I don't mind taking it a little bit darker as I turn the corner. Depends on the scenario, okay? Alright, and then finally let's go ahead and do these eyes. Now one thing you might see that I absolutely love is I like kind of having a triangle here at the top as I come around. And so I'm trying to demonstrate the thickness, the shadow of the pupil as it comes around. So I really like having just a little bit of a triangle at the top as it comes down and gets thinner towards the bottom, okay? And then I will draw in our pupil. And usually I would just go ahead and fill in a black circle and then put in a white dot to do that. But in my efforts to do this quickly, in our very long video that we already have, see how that kind of works? And what I'll even do is I'll even just take a circular shape and just over the top here I will pull that through kind of like that and add shadow in there. That's just my own personal style. You don't have to use that unless you want to. Same thing here, and I'll show you how I do that without. So once again, we draw our full circle. Let's go ahead and put in the pupil here, or iris. I think this is the iris, I'm not sure. Make sure they're roughly the same size. So I feel like mine here is a little too big, and now it's not shaped properly. So really try to focus on getting that shaped absolutely properly. Get the height, the overall size correct. Now I'll put in my white dot here, and then I want to go ahead and show that shadow of the eyelashes over top this part. So I just kind of do that number. And usually that does a really cool feature. So now doing this, let's go ahead and turn off our layers and see what kind of fun we have here. There you go. That's a really nice clean line work. I might change those laugh lines a little bit. They're turning into a mustache because they're a little too thick, I think. But you get the gist of the idea. Line quality is going to improve your artwork tenfold. Tenfold. I mean, seriously, people will love your work because you put the effort in the line, okay? Now, I know I was talking about Jeff Bridges, and I was talking about Kourtney Kardashian. Kourtney? Is it Kourtney? No, not Kourtney. Kim Kardashian. In any case, listen, we'll save that for another video for another time. This, I think, is really going to help Jordan out simply in that if she takes this to her other two pieces, I think that she could seriously improve just with this information she would receive in this video. And I hope it helped you get the advice you need to improve your art quickly. And as you can see, I tried to teach these techniques for the way that you draw. That's the key thing. I want to help you improve in your art style. Unless you like my art style, you don't need to be learning my art style. You need to be learning the techniques to help you improve yours. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Very fun critique, and certainly, really, I think it will help push everyone who watches this in the right direction to improve your art. I'll see you guys next time. God bless. Have an awesome day.